Hello guys, this is Tim the Tool Man. I'm doing a video today to help people out. I've been on YouTube and on the internet Googling stuff, and I just couldn't find a whole lot of information on this type of work on it's a 2009 Dodge Charger 2.7 liter V6. And what I'll be doing today will be, what I have done is I changed the oil pump. What I'll be doing today is putting it back in time and putting everything back together. And I was just wanting to show y'all some of the information on it. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot on the internet. This is the motor. Down inside here, this is the cooling fan. I've already taken off the upper radiator hose. It attaches right here and right there. This is the cooling fan. I've already disconnected the electrical to it and took the retaining bolts off of it, so it'll be ready to come out. So we'll go ahead and take it out now. Just kind of pick up on it once you get the retaining bolts out, and it'll pop right out. Then the other things that I'll have to take off, this, like I said, this is just for informational purposes for any of you do-it-yourself mechanics. This is the upper intake plenum. It has to come off. This is your cam covers. They'll come off, this one and that one. Your serpentine belt will come off. You get it off right there. Then right back here, this here is your timing chain cover. You'll unbolt that and get it off. This is your camshaft damper. You'll have to pull it off. That is a, I think it's a 13/16 camshaft bolt that holds it on. But once you get the bolt out, then you'll have to get a puller and pull the pulley off. So I'm going to go for now. Once I get all this taken off that I just went over with you, then I'll come back and show you inside the timing chain cover. Okay, I got the upper plenum off. These are gaskets that goes to the upper plenum, upper intake plenum, which those can be reused as long as you don't scar them up or anything like that. Now this is like a transmission tube, and it goes, there's a hole in the intake plenum where this sits. Now you'll have to work it out, but I mean you can get it out because this has a little give to it, so you can get that out. Once you get it out, then you get access to the spark plug coils, which is right here. Disconnect all of them. I already marked mine, that way I'll know, you know, put them back where they go. So I've already got mine marked. Then once you get all this disconnected, you can take off the cam covers, which is the same way. These won't come completely out, but you can pick up on them, which knows that you got it backed all the way out. Then you can remove them. Oh, and on the I've already taken my serpentine belt off. On the serpentine belt, draw you a diagram of the routing. That way you'll know when you get ready to reinstall that belt, you'll know how it has to go back on. I'm gonna log off for now and get these cam covers off, and then I'll come back and we'll work on the timing chain cover, the camshaft damper pulley. Alright, I'm back. I got the cam covers off. This is on the passenger side. Got all them, got it completely unbolted and taken off, all the electrical connectors out. That's what your spark plug coil packs look like. And then this is the driver's side. This is what it looks like. I got it completely off. Now this is your timing chain gear for the passenger side, timing chain gear for the driver's side. I'm fixing to take the timing chain cover off. Now this is your idler pulley. It comes off. This is your tensioner pulley for your serpentine belt. You unbolt it right there. It's got to come off too because there's a bolt behind it that actually holds this plate on. And like I said, we'll have to get the camshaft dampener pulley off. To do this, you'll probably have to go underneath the vehicle, jack the vehicle up, put it with jack stands, or I just pulled it up whenever I started. I just pulled it up on these car ramps so it's up high enough. But you'll have to take the transmission cover off so you can obtain the flywheel. That way you can put a pry bar in there to keep the camshaft, keep the motor from turning, so you can break that camshaft pulley bolt loose. So I'm going to start with that. Once I get the timing chain cover off, I'll get back with you. Alright, I told you about that transmission bell housing cover to gain access to the flywheel. So I'm going to get underneath here and see if I can show it to you so you'll have an idea what it is you're looking at. I don't know if you can see with it being so dark under here. But on this model, the cover I'm talking about is this cover right here, right here. You'll have 3 bolts that's bolted going up. Then you'll have 4 bolts that's that'll be, when you start taking them out, they'll be coming towards the front of the vehicle. Now once you get this cover right here unbolted, you can move it around to get access to the flywheel. You cannot clear this cross member. That cover, in order to get that cover completely out, you would actually have to jack the motor up. Now for what I'm doing, you don't have to jack the motor up. You can go ahead and take that cover, unbolt that cover, move it around, get it out of your way so you can get a pry bar to the flywheel to hold it in place so you can unbolt the camshaft dampener pulley bolt. So I just wanted to show you all the cover I was talking about. That way you'll have an idea. If you ever do this on your own, you'll have an idea what you're doing. Okay, I got the transmission bell housing cover off. I've got my pry bar wedged in between the engine block and the bell housing to hold it in place. This bolt is a 13/16 bolt. The bolts for the bell housing transmission cover are 15 millimeters. That way, whenever you go underneath there, you'll have the right socket with you. Socket and a wrench. I've got my ratchet on here, 1/2-inch drive ratchet. Now this bolt is torqued to like I think it's 100. It's either 150 or 170 foot-pounds. I'm not sure. I'd have to refer back to the specifications. But the best way to break it loose, get your bar on, get your ratchet on there, and then I use a cheater bar that I've got. It's a 2-foot cheater bar to help break it loose where you're not doing so much straining. You just slide it over your ratchet, get you a bite somewhere, and then just put some torque on it until you feel it giving. Alright, I got the damper pulley bolt out. That's what it looks like right there. I've got my puller hooked up to the pulley right now. Now what I'm using, which I had to modify it, it's a 4-inch 2-jaw puller, and I took the extension brackets off of it that would be right there on each side, and then I got a longer bolt and reattached the arms to the body without the extension hinges on it. Got it hooked up and started pulling it out with the puller, so I'm going to finish doing that right now. Okay, I got the camshaft damper pulley pulled. There's my puller right there. There's the end of the camshaft. So all we got to do now is unbolt the timing chain, or take off the timing chain cover. Now you're going to have on this, you got several different sizes. You'll have this one here that's a star. I can't remember what size it is, but you'll take that one out. These are 10 millimeters, going all the way around. Some on the bottom, some over here on the other side. And then here, right there, you can't see it I don't guess, is a 16 millimeter bolt, along with that one, and that one right there. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off, and then I'll be back with you. Alright, I got the timing chain cover off, which would be right here. I got it off. This is your camshaft. This is your camshaft timing chain pulley, or sprocket. Now, when I first started this job, what I was changing on this car was the oil pump. And let me get a screwdriver so I can point to it. This thing right back here, all this right there is the oil pump. Oh, that's the oil pump. It's driven by the crankshaft. So in order to change this oil pump, you've got to take off everything that we've taken off so far. You'll actually have to remove this timing chain, the gears, and you'll have to pull the sprocket right there. You'll have to pull that sprocket. Then this oil pump unbolts. Now the oil pan, you can drop the oil pan right where it's at, and once you drop the oil pan, then you can get to, let's see if I probably can't show you, but your pickup tube's right there, and once you drop the oil pan, you can actually get to the pickup tube bolts. There's 2 of them, where you can unbolt the pickup tube, and then you can unbolt the oil pump and pull the oil pump out. Now to get the oil pump, or you got to get the oil pump out, like I said, you got to pull this sprocket. This is your timing chain guide. It actually come out. It unbolts here. You got one on this side that'll unbolt here. Then on the other side, this cover right here, you have to remove it. There's a bolt behind that cover. You remove this cover with a 10 millimeter Allen wrench. And you can take that cover there out. And then you can unbolt those 2 guides. They've actually got to come off. And then, if you look down in here, this right here that I'm pointing at is, they call it, some people call it a oil tensioner. I myself would call it a timing chain tensioner. But it's hydraulically, it functions on hydraulics. And the way you want to get that out, there's a cover right there with 2 10 millimeter bolts. You take that cover off, and then you can push this out through the cylinder head, and that gives you some slack in your chain. Then you can unbolt these sprockets, you know, to get the chain off. Now I didn't take the chain completely out. I just loosened it enough where I could get that bottom timing chain gear, this gear here, where I could pull it off, and then I could unbolt the oil pump, pull the old oil pump off, put the new oil pump on. Reason I'm having to redo this, like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of information on timing and all that on this particular motor, how to get the timing back right. So after about a week of research, I found some stuff, and so that's why I'm tearing it back down and doing this video. So hopefully the next person won't run into the trouble I run into. I'm gonna stop the video now and go ahead and loosen everything up and get it back in time like it should, and then I'll turn the video back on and show you how it's supposed to look when it's in time by the factory. Okay, I got the oil tensioner out. Like I said, it usually goes right there. You see that it's out. The cover on the side of the head that holds the oil tensioner in is right there. That's kind of what it looks like. That's the inside of it. And this is the oil tensioner right here, or what I call the timing chain tensioner. Like I said, it works on hydraulics. You got a little ball bearing right there, and you would actually push in a little on that ball bearing. When you do, you'll get oil out of this plunger. And the way to reset this, to reinstall it, this sleeve right here, you would have to push it back in, just put some downward force on it, and it'll start going in. You'll feel it, what they call ratcheting. You'll actually hear it click almost like a hand ratchet would. And this plunger will actually, the end of this plunger right here will actually end up back here. And then you'll put it back in after you get done with your getting your timing and all set back like it should. Once you get it in and get it bolted back into place, you'll take a pry bar and gently push it in the rest of the way, and it'll release the ratchet and pop back out to the size that it is now. And that's how this tensioner works. Like I said, some people call it an oil tensioner. I would call it a timing chain tensioner. Okay, back on this oil tensioner. I pushed in on that and drained some of the oil out of it. Whenever you're inspecting this, that's a rubber O-ring right there that I'm rubbing with my finger. You want to check it, make sure there's no nicks and cuts. That's a lock ring. You want to make sure that it's okay. Like I said, you put downward pressure on it and you see how that plunger's went in. This will be about the way it's set when you put it back in through the head after you get the timing and all right. And just to demonstrate what I was talking about, see if you apply more pressure to it. There you go. So you get, once you get it in, like I said, you'll take a pry bar, pry in on it a little bit more, and it'll spring back out. And that's how it would be. And like I said, to get it in, after you get the pressure off of it here, then you just apply pressure. If you listen, you might hear it ratchet. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but like I said, that's about how you want it to be set when you put it back in the vehicle. And then, like I said, you'll pry on this in, pushing it towards the body of the tensioner, and it'll spring back out. Okay, I got the timing chain guides out. Now you can look in there and see exactly how loose the chain is now. On each side, it's pretty loose. This is what the guides look like. Right here. This one come off the driver's side. It's bolted in two places. And this one come off the passenger side. Right up here is where the that oil tensioner, timing chain tensioner, that's where it will actually plunge at, is right in there. So it's only got one bolt on this one, and it's got a spacer in it, so as you're unbolting it, that spacer will come out. It will fall through, as you can see. So be careful not to drop that into the oil pan, because if you drop it, that's where it's going, is in the oil pan. So I'm going to go ahead and put the motor back in time, and then I'll show you how the timing marks and all that should be once you get the motor back in time. I wanted to show you this. This is the timing mark on the bottom timing sprocket. And I wanted to show that to you because when I put it in time, there's a mark on the oil pump, which is right there. And that mark there, that's where this mark here has got to be, is over there. So I wanted to go ahead and show it to you. So once I get it over there, you probably won't be able to see it on camera. This mark here that I had marked, that's top dead center. I was trying to put this back in time the old style, the old way, because like I said, I couldn't find a whole lot of information on this particular motor. When I did find information on it, it's actually timed at 60 degrees after top dead center. That's why you use this mark here on the oil pump. If you got your spark plug, if you got your number one spark plug out and you got a screwdriver down in there, you can actually feel, as you're turning this motor over by hand, you can actually feel the piston come up to top dead center. The mark will be right there. And then as you start moving it, you'll feel the piston start to go down. And like I said, that's why you got to time it on that mark there, according to the manufacturer. But I wanted to show you that mark. So once I get this motor back in time, the way it's supposed to be, then I'll show you what all the marks look like, so you'll know. Alright, I got the timing chain guides back on. I got it in time. Show you the timing marks. This is your timing mark on this side. This is the mark on your gear. That arrow would actually go in between those two marks on that one. This is your timing mark on this side. You got one mark on the chain. There's a dot right there. You can't see the arrow, but there's actually an arrow underneath that chain. You can see the bottom part of the arrow right there. So that's in time. And then your mark down here is right there, that yellow mark. And it's on that yellow mark on the bottom sprocket that I showed you earlier. So this motor is in time. All we have to do now is reverse everything that we done earlier. Your 16, now these bolts here for your guides. Try to get the light down here so you can see better. These bolts right there for your guide, you torque them to 105 inch-pounds. The bolt in here you would torque to 105 inch-pounds. That bolt gets torqued to 105 inch-pounds. On your timing chain cover, when you start putting it back on, the 16 millimeter bolts get torqued to 250 inch-pounds. The 10 millimeter bolts get torqued to 105 inch-pounds. All the bolts for your camshaft covers, both camshaft covers, all the bolts on them, and the upper intake plenum bolts, all those get torqued to 105 inch-pounds. Alright guys, I'm back. I got the camshaft covers put back in place, bolted down. They're torqued to 105 inch-pounds. I told y'all wrong earlier. Those timing chain guide bolts, they're torqued to 250 inch-pounds. I think I said they was 105 inch-pounds, but they're actually 250 inch-pounds. And I was calling during the video, I was calling this the camshaft, but that's actually the crankshaft. The crankshaft pulley damper bolt, the one that's 13/16, it's torqued to 130 foot-pounds. Told you I'd have to check the specifications on that. Well, it's 130 foot-pounds on that. Well, I got it back together, got it in time. Let's fire it up and see how she sounds. Oh yeah, she's purring like a kitten. Sounds good. Like I said, when I first started this job, I was changing the oil pump. The oil pump went bad, and the way I knew the oil pump wasn't pumping, I got a oil pump gauge. You pull your oil sending unit out, and it's got different attachments with the gauge where you could screw the attachment in where the oil sending unit was at, and then hook your gauge up. So let's see what the oil looks like now, because I was getting 0 reading. Oh yeah, it's looking good. 40 pounds of pressure, moving up to 50. So that's good, so it's getting oil now, where before it wasn't. Like I said before, it was at 0 PSI. Alright, well I'm going to shut the car down and finish hooking it, putting everything back where it needs to go, and put the oil sending unit back on, and I guess this video's a wrap. So that should be it for this. Hope it was informational for you, and remember, you've been spending time with Tim the Toolman.